Hey, good morning, everybody. Meteorologist Greg Majeski back with you here in the North Georgia First Alert Weather Center here on the Weather Nerds YouTube channel. How you guys doing today? Hope you had a great Memorial Day weekend. And I know we had active weather over the weekend, but I was disengaged down in Florida, went to the beach a couple days, had a good time, had a nice little rest. But we're back at it, and we're ready to keep you guys well informed. As we say here, be prepared, not scared. That's our motto. That's what we kind of strive for here. Now, hey, if you're new to the channel and if you're coming to this update after the fact, you can really help us out. Really want to try to make a push to 10,000. So if you can help us out there, please subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. Keep these updates as part of your normal update. We do weather dailies, we do severe weather updates, we do some live severe weather coverage, and we try to keep it real, not scare the crap out of you, that kind of thing. So again, go ahead and help us out there if you can. And look at that, we got a nice little warning that just kind of popped up here. We're going to be talking about this, so let's go ahead and get into this right now, as we've got this new warning that just came out, issued here. Again, we're not doing live coverage just yet, but we are just talking about the fact that we got this new warning that came out for Lawrence County, Western Covington, and Jefferson Davis. This is a complex. This is what's known as an MCS, a multicellular system, a complex of storms. There's a little upper level vortex in here. It's a little cool pocket that's kind of riding along old stationary boundaries in here, and this is kind of going through Mississippi, and this is going to be setting off severe weather eventually going into Alabama and into Georgia. This is going to be our hot zones here for today. And then we'll have another round later tonight going in back toward Texas. So I want to go ahead and give you an update, get you a breakdown, and get you prepared for today. So let's go ahead and take a look at the big picture here. Again, we got a couple of clusters that we're kind of watching here for today. Again, we're talking about those areas there across the southeast. They're across, obviously, heading into Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi. This is that squall line's coming through right now, right through there. And then we've got this other one back over here. We got to watch back over here to the west as well. And I don't know why that thing's on timer, but we don't like it being on timer. Take that timer off there. So those are our two zones. This stuff back here to the west, this is not going to come in until overnight. I'll show you the overnight models on that. This one we'll watch here toward the day. Very complex setup here across the southeast because we do have a cold air wedge in place. And before I kind of break this down, I do want to show you this. It's a little bit of an issue. We've got this boundary in here, and I've seen this time and time again, where basically you've got this cool air wedge in here. You got an east wind. Right now it's a stationary front. It's supposed to move back this way. So what typically happens is you get thunderstorms that move into that more stable air mass. They settle down and decrease. But the forecast is for that boundary to start to shift on out of here as we go through the next few days. So we're going to watch it very closely, and we'll see how that works out for us, but for today predominantly. So anyway, let's go ahead and talk about the breakdown here for today. I'll go back over to the WeatherWise here. And let's go ahead and talk about the categories. So we've got our tornado risk here running about 2%. Again, not running very high, but we'll have to watch both these zones here. Obviously across Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi with that cluster of storms there. And then these storms will be flaring up going in toward tonight here across West Texas. And boy, have you seen some of the video coming out of Texas? I mean, they had 5-6 inch hail again. I'm looking forward to somebody doing a paper on that and really kind of illustrating the reasons for these unbelievable hailstorms that we've seen so far this year. All right, let's go ahead and talk about the wind and hail. Speaking of wind and hail, so there you're running about 10% to 15% there in the yellow. Again, going from Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, going for that where that slight risk boundary is. And obviously we got this back here toward Texas, running about 15%. And then we got the hail risk here, which will be running pretty low across the southeast, less than 5% here, but 15% out toward Texas. Of course, Texas has been the king of hail this year. As we're saying, they still had almost 6-inch size hail out there. If you can imagine that, the size of my doggone hand, just unbelievable amount of hail they've had out there. All right, so let's get the satellite imagery here. Again, we're kind of watching this cluster of storms here down toward the south. You see the thunder and lightning. That's our one little MCS. We'll watch for that new activity here to form up here going into later tonight for the folks out there in the west. Now, yesterday, the storm reports, not bad. I had 179. We did have 3 tornado reports, one Mississippi, a couple that are back in Texas, and some down. I think we'll see something probably in the similar range here for today as well, with what we're expecting for later this afternoon. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the model data. Let's go ahead and show you the latest and greatest on that, and we'll kind of time this out. All right, so let's go look over the model here, get you kind of prepared with what we can expect. So here's a current snapshot. Okay, this is the latest high resolution model data. Notice that timestamp up here in that upper right hand corner. Okay, so you're going to watch it up here. Keep an eye on that, so you keep an eye on what's going on here as far as the timeline. So what we're going to do is going to watch these storms here coming out of Mississippi. They may weaken a little bit here this morning, a little briefly, but with the daytime heating, things should destabilize. We're going to see things kind of destabilize there across Alabama. So by the time we get to 2, 3 o'clock, we're going to see this thing really start to get a little more invigorated, kind of fueling off the juice of the day, the warm air, that kind of thing. Now, what's going to be interesting, like I said, across areas of Georgia, you got the squall line coming in here at like the 3 o'clock this afternoon. You got the squall line in here, and you're going to have that residual wedge in here, that easterly wedge in here. How much does that weaken those storms, if it does at all? Does it move out? Does it clear out? I will tell you, historically speaking, when I see these wedges, they're very slow to clear on out. And basically, what that means is that this thing's going to be, will patch a punch. So what I'm thinking is Georgia 400 to the west is probably the best place to go. And then obviously down here across east central Alabama, west central Georgia, they're going to get it down there toward Columbus as well, as we kind of watch that complex of storms move off toward the east. So we're going to have a pretty good rejuvenated MCS line as this kind of goes into the late afternoon, evening hours. Then we're going to turn our attention back here to the west. Notice what's going on back here in Texas here as we head toward the evening hours. Those storms start to fire up there, and then those will begin to move on and propagate off toward central portions of Texas, heading towards San Angelo and Austin as we head into the overnight early morning hours. So again, and then you got some more storms. These probably won't be severe here in Alabama going to the overnight period. So our initial cluster is going to be this afternoon. Again, we got that line we got right now going through Mississippi. Maybe take a little bit of a pause there, but it's going to start to fire up again as we head toward 3 o'clock. And I'm thinking I'll probably start my live coverage at 3 o'clock. Not because it's a big day, it's just because it's in my backyard, being in Georgia, obviously. And I got a lot of folks who kind of watch. So I'm going to be doing some live coverage today, tracking the storms across Alabama and Georgia about 3 o'clock this afternoon. And then we'll kind of see how these storms kind of evolve as they kind of move into the state. And then we have to watch out here toward the west. Let me switch this over to the longer range model so I could show you guys back in toward Texas here what to expect as this stuff starts to fire up here as we kind of go beyond the 18-hour window here. So again, going into the early morning hours, that's when this severe weather is going to be going on here across Texas. So it's a nighttime event, unfortunately, for you guys in Texas here. And this will be moving into Austin and San Angelo as we go towards 6 o'clock tomorrow morning Eastern time, about 5 Central there, as the storms will kind of move on off into the Gulf there. So that's the timing on the second system. So we got 2 different severe weather windows here. One late this afternoon and evening hours for Alabama and Georgia, and then going overnight for the folks back there in toward Texas. So again, looking at the current snapshot right now, once again, you can kind of see again, we got that squall line, got all these little severe thunderstorm warnings up here, lining from Jackson down to the north of Macomb, getting some pretty intense thunderstorm activity there. They'll be coming in the Harrisburg area, the Hattiesburg area here a little bit shortly, and looks like even some storms going through New Orleans a little bit later as well. So we're going to be kind of be watching what's going on here with the big picture here. I'll be kind of watching these areas. Here's my target zones. Kind of watching a little bit today: Mobile, Auburn, Dalton, Austell. Those will be kind of my target zones that I'll kind of be watching for the storms as they develop today. And by the way, that Mobile shot, there's the USS United States. That's going to be a new reef that's going to be sunk off the coast there into the Gulf, and it's right now got to get stripped down and cleaned up. But definitely, I got to make a trip to Mobile and see that ship up close and personal before they take that down. But definitely want to check on that. All right, that's y'all's update here for today. Again, I'm planning on doing live coverage at 3 o'clock. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please consider it. Again, I really want to make a big push. I'll probably do some advertising buys. Really want to try to make a push to see if we get that thing to 10,000 by the time we get to 1 October. That's our 2-year birthday here on the Weather Nerds channel, and I'd love to get to 10,000 by then. It'll be a nice little goal to try to set for ourselves. All right, that's it. That's y'all's update for today. You guys take it easy. You can stay safe, and we'll see you this afternoon. You guys